So the Power of Kroll.
That Power of Kroll.
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 Kroll. I'm Tom Dickinson,
And I'm Louis Midas,
and this is the Cloister Room.
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
I like the scene where the Swampies are like doing, I don't know, like calisthenics or something.
Right.
Or they're like running in place, like.
Right, this is... I'm assuming that that's some kind of, like, ancient tribal dance that's just, like, you know...
Very boring.
Right. But it must be, like, just this big, long tradition that we don't understand. We can't even begin to understand why they're running in place. Like that's got to be some deep, symbolic meaning.
So what did you think of the Power of Kroll?
You know, I liked it.
Did you?
I did.
You know, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Okay.
There are things about it that I do like, but I don't know. Like this is not a very popular story.
Oh, is it not?
No.
No, why not?
I think people just kind of find it not all that interesting, and then the special effects are really bad.
Well, yes, the special effects are really bad. I definitely cannot argue against that. No, I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know. You know, it's funny, though, because watching this has been a while since I've watched The Fourth Doctor, I guess. You know, and it's just, I don't know, there's something about The Fourth Doctor. I just love seeing The Fourth Doctor. And, you know, I feel like, I don't know, it's weird because even, like, I mean, I guess compared to other Fourth Doctor stories, this is probably not one of my favorites, but I still just liked it, you know? And I think, like, you know, a lot of the little things, like when, you know, the Doctor and Romana are being sentenced to death, and then I forget the tribal leader guy, you know, he says they're gonna die by the seventh rite of whatever, I forget, and the Doctor like comments to Romana, "Oh, 7's my lucky number," and it's just little things like that I just love about the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah, I thought there were actually a lot of really good tiny dialogue things with the Doctor and with Romana.
Yeah.
She had like good quips when Rome Dutt took her captive. She had like these great sarcastic lines at his expense that were fun.
Yeah, you know, so it is, you know, and I mean, yeah, there really isn't all that much to the plot. I mean, I guess it's vaguely interesting that Kroll ends up being the whatever the piece of the, what is it, like the piece of the key to time is out there.
Well, he ends up having ingested
right
the one of the segments of the key to time.
Right. So I mean, you know, that's vaguely interesting that there's that, you know, but you know, that's the best I can say for that. But you know, I don't know. I also think it's interesting. I mean, like, I don't know. It's kind of neat how the Doctor sort of figures out that he can sort of distract Kroll with using, like, you know, sound. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a neat thing, I guess. You know, but yeah, I wouldn't describe this as being too terribly interesting of a story, I suppose.
No, you know, this in the Mighty 200 poll.
Oh yeah.
This is 174.
Oh wow!
And they actually released the poll from this year.
Oh yeah.
And this was 212.
Ooh.
But that's only because new stories have been added into the mix.
Oh, okay.
So I actually had to make my own custom list that took the 2014 rankings and accounted for the addition of new stories and then adjusted them to match up with the 2009 rankings.
Okay.
And it actually stayed at 174.
Ah. Wow.
So there has been no great sway in fan opinion on this story in the past 5 years. One thing that people kind of like in this is the actors.
Oh, yeah?
Specifically, Philip Maddock
Oh, right.
He has been in several Doctor Who stories.
Right, I noticed that.
Most notably, the Brain of Morbius.
Okay.
And he also played the Warlord in the War Games, who looks a lot like Steve Jobs.
Right. He didn't look like Steve Jobs in this.
No, he didn't. He looked more like just himself.
Yeah, so...
He was originally considered for the role of the main bad guy.
Oh, really?
Thawne, I think his name. Thawne, was that it?
Oh, could be. I have no idea.
But they decided not to go with him.
Oh, really?
So, but then later they called him back and said, we got this other role for you. But there was a miscommunication with his agent, and he thought he had gotten the main bad guy role, which is the only reason he accepted. So he turned up and was a little bit surprised to find that he had a relatively small part. So he does a good job with it, but I actually wish he had been given more to do because I like him.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Also, John Abineri, who's in a bunch of Doctor Who stories, was played the main Swampy guy.
Oh, okay.
And John Leeson, who plays K9, was in this as well.
Really?
But yeah. He played the one of the technician who stood up for the Swampies and then got shot.
Oh, okay.
So the one who was kind of nice.
Huh. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to him again to see if I can pick out his voice.
Yeah, he doesn't sound all that much like K9, but
well, yeah, I kind of imagined that that was not his normal speaking voice.
No, but he sounds like John Leeson.
Well, there you go.
I think the reason for that was because because K9 didn't appear in this story, but he was contracted to be in the story anyway. So they're like, well, why pay someone who could come in and do this when we've got this guy who's already been paid? So might as well make him play this role.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I liked how the TARDIS materializes in this really tall grass, and then you don't even see K9. You just hear the Doctor calling back to K9 and saying stay in the TARDIS, because obviously that's not going to be a suitable terrain for K9. So K9 has to sit this one out.
Yeah, poor K9.
Poor
K9. And then at the end of the story, the Doctor's like, "Get back, K9!" as soon as he opens the door. Like K9 was just itching to get out there. And
yeah. K9 just always is sidelined and can never get in the action.
Not as bad as Chameleon, though.
That's true. Because, at no point did the Fifth Doctor, turn back to the opens TARDIS door and shout, "Hey, stay in the TARDIS, Chameleon." You never even got that.
Yeah, he just didn't bother to acknowledge Chameleon's presence at all.
Yeah. Do you think the Doctor forgot about Chameleon? Does he think, that was just...
I assume he did.
I don't feel that Doctor Who was made less rich for not having Chameleon.
The story was written by Robert Holmes.
Yeah, okay.
He's one of the more prolific Doctor Who writers and well-regarded ones, and this is not regarded as a high point of his career.
Would he go on to redeem himself?
I mean, yes, I would say that he does, but I mean, he already had a good reputation, and this was sort of a blip.
Ah, okay.
After this, he would write The Caves of Androzani. That would be his next story, which is widely regarded as one of the very best Doctor Who stories.
So yeah, okay. So yeah, definitely just a blip.
Yeah, and he wrote a number of very popular stories like Spearhead from Space, Carnival of Monsters, The Ark in Space, Pyramids of Mars, Deadly Assassin, Talons of Wang Chiang, Reboss Operation, Androzani, of course.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive.
Oh, and Brandon Morbius. Did I mention that? Yeah. So yeah, he's a lot of people call him the best writer ever for Doctor Who, and they don't ever when they're making that claim, they don't bring up the Power of Kroll to bolster it. He wrote this thing with Rome Dutt and some Swampies and.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't really pay much attention to writers in classic Doctor Who. I mean, I guess I'm mildly interested in the ones that I know Douglas Adams has written, but other than that, I don't really think about it.
Well, it's easier to be attentive to it in New Who because you're kind of watching it unfold, and so you're following each one's career as it happens.
I suppose that's true.
And I know for me, I get excited about certain writers coming up, and I'm wondering, okay, who's writing for the next series? That kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas it's with a classic series, you're just dealing with a big block of already existing material. So
yeah.
So I kind of feel the same way about that. But there are outstanding ones that are just recognizable and that you kind of know what you're in for when you find them. And Robert Holmes is one of them, and Douglas Adams, even though he only did a few, would be another. and like there are a couple of other ones like Terrence Dix or
Right.
or whoever. So
Whoever.
So what did you think of Kroll?
The actual monster,
Well, the monster, the
the deity.
yeah,
So he was supposed to be like a squid, right?
he was just a squid who ate a segment of the key to time.
So
I like that it's just like an animal. It's not like an alien intelligence. It's just a dumb animal that stumbled into something. You don't get a lot of that in Doctor Who. It's very it reminds me of like a kaiju kind of thing.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I kind of like that because we kind of get enough of the whole evil alien kind of adversary. It's nice to just get like a dumb animal that's just doing its thing, and oh hey, there's people there, and now it's it's like fighting for its survival, and these people think that they're being attacked or whatever, when really it's their fault.
Yeah, and I mean, a dumb animal like that isn't really capable of masterminding a conflict or anything, but conflict kind of springs up around it with the people, and that there's plenty of conflict in this. So
no shortage of conflict.
Yeah. What did you think of the model?
Well, it was pretty terrible.
I actually thought it was good.
Really?
Yeah, I thought the model was good. It was just like all the blue screen shots of it were badly done.
I guess. I don't know. I mean,
I thought it looked pretty cool.
I guess. I don't know. It seemed. I don't know. It just seemed a little oddly. I mean, you could explain this away as being just what happens when you swallow a segment of the key to time, but it just. I don't know. It looked a little weird to me. Like it just looked misshapen, or I don't know. But I mean, if it is in fact a normal squid, and how come there's this planet with just squids on it? Is it just, are we to assume that these were brought here by whatever colonizing people?
I think it's mentioned that the squids were native to the planet and they got relocated to the moon or something.
Oh, that's right.
Unnecessarily complicated like that.
Right.
So they're not Earth squids, as far as I know.
Okay, so they could. This could just be the way they look.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, I guess that's not so bad. I wasn't wild about how he looked. It was just like this. I don't know. It didn't do much for me, I guess.
I don't know. I continue to defend it because I think it's a good design. I'd like to see him come back too.
Oh yeah.
No, not really. If Big Finish wants to do something, I mean, I'm sure it works well on audio.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Revenge of Kroll.
Of course.
Return to Delta Magna. Yeah, I mean, like, I just think like there are some terrible blue screen shots. Apparently, the director who was filming the story didn't know how to film shots that were going to be used for blue screen insertion later, and so just had no idea what he was doing, which is one of the reasons it looked bad. But
yeah. I wouldn't know the first thing about blue screen shots. So
well, you're not a director, so I wouldn't expect you to. But
I guess so.
Or CSO, as they call it. They call it CSO, not blue screen. So color separation overlay. So.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the color separation orchestra.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought you were being serious for a second.
No, I was not.
Like,
in
is
any
that
way.
some kind of like a white supremacist musical group or something?
No, not to my knowledge.
Was there anything about this story that was confusing or bewildering to you without having outside knowledge of the Key to Time storyline?
What I know about the Key to Time storyline is that they're looking for parts of the Key to Time, and I mean, when they land, and I mean, no, not really. I mean, it's pretty, or I mean, it could just be that I just ignored any extraneous details that didn't make sense to me. But like, it seems pretty straightforward. They land in the TARDIS. They get out. They're carrying a little device that detects Key to Time bits, and from there, the story's a go. We begin our adventure.
I assume that would be the answer because I mean, most of these stories have no real connection between them. Like, it's not an ongoing story arc. It's just each week we look for a segment of the Key to Time, and the reasons for this are not important, and what exactly a Key to Time is or does is not important. It's just we're looking for it.
Well, right, and it's sort of designed like, I don't know, like a level of a platformer game. Like, that in each of these levels there's this item you need to collect for the level to end. That's kind of what they do. It's, every episode they're obtaining this item, and once they obtain this item they can leave and the story can be over. So it's kind of along those lines, So it's fine, it seems easy enough to understand and follow.
Well, good.
But I assume that it ultimately builds to some kind of showdown.
Well, I mean, of a kind. Well, builds is I mean, there's nothing in this story that like comes back like all of a sudden a Swampy like jumps out and saves the Doctor's life or anything like that. Nothing like that happens.
Okay.
Like the individual segments are just a MacGuffin. I mean, there is a story at the end which features what happens once they've found them all, but I mean they don't just drop it as a plot line. But there's no real crossover between the stories.
Yeah, well, that's fair. So I mean really this whole Key to Time plot didn't really like change the format of Doctor Who. It was basically just business as usual, but now there's this little extra sort of thing that sort of wraps each story.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it is a little bit of a change because, in general, like when the Doctor lands somewhere with his companions, they're just landing there for no reason.
That's true.
Like they don't have like a shopping list or anything. They're just sometimes there's a reason, but generally they just land and then something happens that brings them into a conflict. But in this particular case, there's something they're trying to get out of it.
Right.
Which I think that shakes it up a little bit and adds a little bit more interest to the proceedings. But It's not like a huge change. I mean, you could imagine a story very similar to this happening, even if the Doctor and Romana weren't looking for a segment of a key to a time.
Right. Yeah. Although, it would be interesting to see the Doctor and his companions land with like an actual grocery list and like they actually have to go grocery shopping. And like that leads into a Doctor Who story. I want to watch that episode.
Set at a grocery store?
Yeah, well, it's some sort of intergalactic grocery store. And the Doctor's explaining to his companion, this is like your Earth grocery stores, but intergalactic. And then, and then the plot happens in the grocery store. It'll be like a Rugrats episode.
Oh, wow. Well, there is a Rugrats episode with Daleks in it.
That's true, there is.
Well, maybe it could involve Daleks.
It could, Maybe it's a grocery store run by Daleks. The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm vaguely interested to see how the Key to Time season wraps up, and I imagine one day I will know how the Key to Time.
Someday.
I would love to know. Someday. Probably my favorite scene in this entire story is when they're having trouble with their scanner on the mining rig or something, and they do something to play around with the settings, and then instead of getting whatever static they were getting, they get this really sort of obvious outline of a squid.
Yes.
And then they're all confused about it, and they're like, "What do you make of that?" And then like the other guy's like, it's probably just some sediment. And then but it's so obviously like this squid shaped object. And I just love that. I just love how clueless they are. It's just this beautiful scene. And then it ends with the leader guy being like, "That's what I saw." And he's the only one that can recognize that it's a squid.
It might have made more sense if they had like zoomed out of it a bit. Or no, zoomed into it rather.
Right.
So you're only seeing a part of the hole. You're not seeing the entire squid. You're just seeing like a limb. And then you zoom out and then he's like, "That's what I saw."
Right. Yeah, that would be that'd be more dramatic. And the other guys would look less stupid.
Because they are pretty stupid.
Well, yeah.
How did you feel about Swampies?
It almost seemed like the whole concept of the Swampies seemed like vaguely racist.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
like it's kind of pretty obviously like a Native American like analog.
Yeah. And that was definitely intentional, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about it just struck me as being a little bit racist.
Yeah, I mean, they're very clearly savage people.
Right.
And the moral of the story is that it's not okay to genocide them. There's no real, there's nothing more to it than that.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that's a prevailing message of Doctor Who, is that genocide is definitely not okay.
Yeah, but, there might be quite a few other things that would also be not okay that you can kind of get into. Like, it's not okay to mistreat them, or it's not okay to, relocate them off of their planet to a moon, or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I'm a little vague on what exactly went on there, but it seems to me like they've been relocated.
Yeah.
Is it okay to give them guns? I don't know. Yeah, apparently they were all painted green with waterproof paint that you had to get off with some kind of like chemical solvent. And they forgot it. They forgot the solvent. They didn't bring it to the location shoot. They grabbed the wrong solvent.
That is comical.
So they were stuck green, and they had to go to like a nearby. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like an Air Force base or something like that, where they had chemical showers that they could help them out with.
That sounds highly carcinogenic.
Probably. I wonder how they're all doing now.
Yeah, I think they should. I think there should be a follow-up.
I mean, the green makeup looks pretty good.
No, yeah,
The hair is a little.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it looks crocheted.
Yeah. I wasn't entirely clear if they were wearing hats or if that was their actual hair. So does the Doctor have the ability to hypnotize people?
I assume he must.
Because I thought that was more of a master thing.
Well, they're both Time Lords, so
I guess so.
You might think that they have similar abilities, but maybe he just usually decides not to.
Yeah, maybe hypnosis is something the Doctor considers to be not cool.
Except when it is.
Right, except when it comes down to, saving his own skin, then, obviously you whip out the hypnotization. Hypnosis, rather.
Gotta use everything you got.
So is it canon that you can't hypnotize people with narrow eyes? Because that's what he says when Rankin can't be hypnotized.
Well, he could be joking. I don't know.
That's true.
You never know how seriously to take him.
Well, right. Yeah, especially the Fourth Doctor, because he just says things. But yeah. So yeah, that could be like, whether or not the Doctor actually speaks baby or horse. Yeah, actually, so maybe the Doctor can't actually hypnotize anybody, and so he just says that, well, he had narrow eyes.
Yeah, he's just goofing around and trying to make excuses.
Well, and who knows? Maybe hypnosis is a standard Time Lord ability, but he just kind of skipped that class. Much like every other Time Lord seems to be able to choose what they look like when they regenerate, but he can't.
Well, not every Time Lord. I mean, maybe, I don't know. The only ones who are really seen to do it is like Romana is seen to do it. And I guess you could say the Master does it in Utopia.
Yeah, well, he does, yeah, because he doesn't he say something about wanting something younger?
Yeah, he says something like, if the Doctor can be young and strong, so can I. Oh, and also River says she's concentrating on a dress size.
Oh, that's right.
But she didn't go to any kind of Time Lord education, so.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the end, all this stuff is kind of up in the air. Also in that scene, it ends with the Doctor, making some really bizarre sound with his mouth.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. But I mean, if he can do that, why does he need the sonic screwdriver?
Oh, right. Well, there's an episode. Oh, it's in the Next Doctor where, he's using the sonic screwdriver, but he doesn't want Jackson Lake to know it, and so he pretends to whistle like it's the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he could have just done that. So I mean, I assume that the Doctor can just do this on command, or maybe just in moments of great stress and anxiety, where his life is on the line.
Yeah, it's presumably something like that. We don't really know.
Yeah, so I guess this episode was kind of this episode contained a lot of revelations on the Doctor and what he can do when he needs to.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's Robert Holmes writing. I think we should take it as canon.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go.
He introduced a lot of things into Doctor Who, like the Eye of Harmony. That was his.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Gallifrey. I mean, he came up with the name, I think.
Ah, interesting.
So if he says it, it's true.
Yeah. There you go. It's got to be. Though at the same time, those revelations seem a little bit more reasonable. Obviously, the Doctor's home planet's going to have a name, and there's obviously got to be something that powers the TARDIS or TARDISes. But the Doctor being able to make these sort of strange monotone sounds out of his mouth.
Well, he does it. I mean,
well, no,
you can't really argue with that.
No, I know. I can't.
Proof is in the pudding.
Well, yeah. I mean, it does have to be canon. I don't know. It just seems like Robert Holmes kind of went off the deep end here,
so to speak, of the swamp.
Yeah. There's probably a deep end in that swamp. I mean, I guess hypnosis is kind of reasonable. So I guess I'm just hung up on this whole mouth sound thing. I want to see that brought back. I want to see,
I just want to say Peter Capaldi making strange sounds with his mouth all the time.
Exactly.
Just ditch the sonic screwdriver and use that instead.
Exactly. And have that break glass and things like that.
He's an old fan, so he probably knows all this stuff.
I would hope. Yeah, I do kind of wonder though, like what would it take to really like upset, fans of just the new series, like in terms of bringing back things from the classic series? Do you think Strange Mouth Sounds will be one of them?
I don't know, but it's worth a try.
Sure.
That and like having it claimed that Susan named the TARDIS, came up with the name TARDIS. Pick that up. And the Doctor having one heart.
Wait, when is that?
Well, he's examined medically and never found to have anything other than human biology until Spearhead from Space, which introduces the notion that he has two hearts.
Oh, interesting.
I don't remember if there are any specific statements where someone says, "Hey, this gentleman has one heart," or anything like that. But there are situations in which it would be in which you'd think that someone would notice, but they don't.
Right, like someone's like checking his heart, or like someone's like listening to his heartbeat with a stethoscope or something.
Mm-hmm. I don't really remember any of the specific details, but it's out there.
I'd be interested to know if that ever happened. If there is in fact some discrepancy like that, where there's a scene where very clearly the Doctor has one heart and he should have two. I don't know. I guess I could take the time to try and come up with some sort of headcanon explanation, but
some say that Time Lords don't get second hearts until their third incarnation.
That is really, really bizarre, but I kind of love it.
Yeah, sure. The Doctor claims that his number of heads is potentially variable.
That's true.
So why not hearts?
That's true. Yeah. Well, maybe that's a thing. Well, maybe even like maybe the Doctor in his first incarnation had a heart defect or something, and he was actually looking forward to getting two hearts, and then like I don't know, maybe that defect carried through to the second regeneration.
It's not really clear why the first Doctor collapses. So maybe that's it.
Yeah. There you go.
How do you like Romana?
She's okay. I feel like I like the second Romana more.
I don't know. I like them both. They're very different.
They're definitely very different. I was fine with her for the most part, although I did think it was a little weird that she sort of was in distress at the end of the first episode and couldn't like figure a way out of it. When it seems like, I think I've brought this up before, but when you've got like a Time Lord as a companion, I don't know. I feel like they should be just as competent as the Doctor. And so when they're not, I get like I'm bothered by that.
And sometimes they treat her as though she is.
Right.
Like she's in many ways she seems to be more competent than the Doctor.
Yeah.
But the Doctor's a bit, too busy goofing off, and she's supposed to be the one who has it together.
Right.
But yeah, they're not all that consistent with it. I think I mentioned this in our discussion of the Pirate Plan. I think Mary Tam does a really good job at being like haughty and superior to the Doctor. But whenever she's doing sort of the more boring companion stuff, like being in distress and going like, "What's that, Doctor? Like, how do you know that, Doctor?" Like asking for explanations. Like at those moments, I feel like she just gets really kind of boring and less likable.
Yeah.
But overall, I think she's a pretty good companion, and I don't really know how I compare her to the second Romana. I feel like they're very different, and I do like them both.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the second Romana sort of seems more. I don't know, just like weirder, I guess, and I kind of like that. I don't know.
More eccentric, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. More eccentric. Yeah, so I kind of appreciate that, and she just the first Romana, is kind of more doing that sort of haughty superior thing, which that's all good fun, but I feel like I don't like it as much. I do have a note about how I enjoyed the music, and it was more just a general note because I feel like I really don't like the sort of electronic sort of synthesizer stuff that they started doing in the 5th and 6th Doctor's eras, and I do really appreciate the sort of orchestra stuff because I really like that.
So this is Dudley Simpson.
Oh yeah.
Who did more classic series music than any other contributor. And he did dozens and dozens of stories throughout the 4th Doctor era. And then when when John Nathan Turner became the producer at the beginning of season 18, he basically said, all right, we're done with you. And then all music from that point forward was done by the Radiophonic Workshop. So...
Yeah, I don't know. Something about that I just find really weird. Because I guess I kind of get it. Like, stylistically, I understand why you'd want, we're doing a futuristic show, kind of. Let's do futuristic sounding music. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like there's something to be said for sort of these mismatched kind of, like, textures or whatever. Like having sort of like a more classic orchestral sound of the music, and then contrasting that with like the sort of sci-fi setting, and I kind of like that, kind of like, I don't know, how Firefly is set in the distant future, but it uses a lot of like kind of Western sounding music, and it's kind of interesting, and it's I don't know, I like it, I prefer that kind of thing.
I think the music here is very good at serving its purpose. Like, it enhances the mood of the scenes, and it doesn't get too much in the way
right.
of anything. I don't know. It's very good. And I think by this point in his career, this is sort of late in his Doctor Who career, Dudley Simpson was just very good at that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you can see him kind of doing a pretty good job in this story.
Yeah. So that's nice. Yeah. So I wish they'd have kept Dudley Simpson around. I think. Replacing him with machines was wrong.
Well, there were composers, like it's not like machines weren't writing the music.
Yeah, but it's not the same. They might as well have been machines. How do we know these people weren't machines anyway?
He's still around.
Is he really?
Yeah. I don't think he's working or anything, but he is still living.
Maybe he should come back.
That'd be interesting. If they were going to have him back, they probably should have had him back for the 50th anniversary.
Oh, that's a good point.
That would have been cool to like have him do the music in the scene where Tom Baker shows up.
Ooh, that would have been cool. Oh man, why didn't they think of that?
Nothing against what Murray Gold provided for that scene, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to maybe have them collaborate on a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, because that would have been like kind of like in Time Crash, where they sort of do like a. Where I guess it's, I'm assuming Murray Gold composed that, but it's kind of a, it sounds almost like it's from the Fifth Doctor era. Yeah,
it's an intentional homage to it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a fun thing. So yeah, they should have done that. Oh man.
So Lewis, do you think we should pick the story that we're going to be watching after we watch The Power of Kroll?
Do we need to?
Yeah, probably not.
Well, I guess we, if we want to.
Do you want to know in advance? Do you want to? I mean, I'll leave it up to you.
You know what? I do want to know.
All right, let's do that right now.
Okay.
All right, the random selector has been activated. It is selecting randomly, and the story that has been picked is Trial of a Time Lord, parts 1 through 4.
Ah.
So that's The Mysterious Planet, as it's also called.
Well then, and I've seen this.
Yes, this is a story that we actually already recorded an episode on, but the recording was lost. It was a very long time ago, and I remember nothing from our discussion.
I don't either. I remember, the thing I remember about it, and the thing I remember very fondly is Sabalam Glitz.
Okay.
And I seem to remember really liking him as a character, and I kind of hope that I still like him.
Well, he is in the first 4 parts.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So at least there's that.
I guess there's that.
Yeah, so we'll finally get to discuss the thing that we promised. I think we were on the record as promising a discussion about Trial of a Time Lord.
Finally, the time has come. The wait is over.